Okay, let's get started. Okay, topic we talk about today is problem solving in design. However, we talk about the heuristic. Heuristic is like something assisting, something helping. So it's like what is the way that actually help for problem solving in design? So this is a typical way we talk about, like, we be using that, maybe, I can't talk about that as well today. We use it in typically like, that's a business world that people would use this to help them for come up with some solution. Those terms we use, but somehow we may have other name for individual stages we have. For instance, the first one called empathize. So empathize, what is like we probably using a term to describe it for our. This is what we call say research. It's like empathize is like something that you put your foot in shoes that try to understand something. So we may use a similar method, but somehow we call it research to finish the task. So we talk about we will say understand something, we would study something, we would just to know about all the things. Of course, you have to have this information together before you actually make any decision for whatever. So this is basically, that is a similar thing that we do, but somehow in business world, we tend to use this term more than the other one. We just, again, talk about it, I would say research, whatever. And then the second stage is define. Well, when we have to define it, means we have to know about the question, problem, whatever. So we may have another term that actually use it for a design way. Talk about, even though that's design thinking process. But again, we talk about that design thinking process is more like the business way we talk about it for ourselves, and we use another term actually we will apply on this stage is core analysis. We try to analyze what's going on, analyze the thing we know about, analyze the thing together, and try to come with something. And try to come with something, you see that's the stage for idea. So when you ideate something that you want to say target user and see what they really want and things like that, and we come up with something that may work. So in this stage, maybe we also could use another term to describe it called conceptualization, right? That could be another term that, but somehow they basically share the same common idea, common thought about what that stage is supposed to be. And after you finish this conceptualization, you want to work this something out. Then we've got to create a prototype. But in our way, maybe say we're using another term, say we could use something called a calm, with something that could be used to see how the things look like. So in maybe say other field, maybe in business way, they may probably call it prototyping. And then once you have the prototyping, what you're going to do, you have to do the test and see whether it works or not. So the test is like once you put it together, then you see, oh, whether that is actually what we may even test with the market and see whether it works or not. So this is a test. And then at the end, of course, it would be the implement. Those things like really workable, and then we have to use it, and we have to implement. So the basic of the status is actually talked about. But sometimes those terms could be a little different, from field to field, from discipline to discipline. So this is one of the hard process we would use, in terms of those terms over there. But of course, there will be other. I don't know whether it's possible to see a little clear. I think a little bit small, and also when you project, it's a little hard to see. But for these charts you see here is like in different field or different discipline, they're using different model. But if you really look at that, you will see those models more or less were related to that so-called, you know, the one we previously have, that guy, you know, I mean, they basically repeat those steps, but somehow they may have different term to that anyway. So take a look at different things. Say, okay, if you say we look at this model, is design thinking, business, innovation. So for the steps they have, you will see the first step is immersion. You know, the term immersion, I don't know whether you're familiar with something like immersive. You know, immersive experience. You know, sometimes, you know, for graphic design, we do that. We call it immersive, like experience, which actually looks like we created environmental design. Actually, say, you know, we have, you know, the immersive experience. So the immersive or immersion is actually usually understanding, just like the term we use like on the other, which is talk about, you know, put a foot in the shoes, or we use a term called empathy or empathize. Okay, so it's empathize, it's just like to do, like I would say that we, the research that we have, so we kind of understand something, we kind of look at, you know, the issue, look at the problem, and, or, you know, maybe we kind of study about, you know, environments, study about market, study about problem, those kind of things. So we just talk about this immersion. They use the terms immersion, same as like, you know, they empathize. And then they have a second step called in-depth immersion. You know, first step immersion done, and then probably feels like it may not be enough, so do further, you know, in-depth immersion. And then, no matter what, the first step we talk about is analysis and synthesize. So it's like they got to analyze whatever and come up with something. So maybe that is a, say, funnel down kind sort of suggestion of the solution they come up with after this analysis. So the analysis basically try to come up with something or put together things you have to think about. Okay. So after that is ideation, just like the ideate, the same thing, you know, we just use it, and the prototyping. So you see this is one of the other fields that may use as a model that is quite similar to the one we just talked about. Maybe something longer, say D school here is another model, or maybe from another discipline we call it. So D school typically, I don't know, it's a term, but somehow try to put a guess on it. Say D school could mean for design school, or maybe you say B school is a business school, this kind of thing. So D school's model is what? The first step is understand. Understand, well, again, you know, we just study something, we understand something. We do the empathize, we try to understand something, yeah, same thing. And then it's observe. That's another step they have. It will theme the process. So understand, observe, and then point of view. So you observe, and you try to conclude. So you got the point of view come out. So the same thing is like, you know, try to say on the other side, analysis until you analyze the issue, and then you come up with something. So this like you come up with the point of view. So they're using the term, but basically they do the analysis again, just like the other, and then ideate, you know, something we know about, and prototype and test. So they basically create something similar to the so-called main one we had previously. And then if we look at another one, say, maybe say lending public sector innovation to this one. The first step is knowing, try to know something, or don't know. Now again, you know, tackle the issue, you know, try to kind of study about that issue, to do research, things like that, basic same thing. Analyzing, analysis, same thing we talked about, right? Synthesizing, Once you analyze, you synthesize something, so you analyze it and come up with something. So when you come up with something, you synthesize something, and then you create. So there's creating. So when you look at that, more or less, when you look at this chart, even though the terms may not be the same, but they are using very, very similar things. Even though the steps. But again, no one say this is exactly those steps supposed to be. I think those people, when they come up with their own model, they built upon the knowledge about how they come up with based on what? The things they learn about, the things that they think, oh, well, I tested and see, well, with this way probably is the best way, then they can come up with the final solution for whatever problem is. So this is one of the things that is kind of interesting. So this is one of the third way is the heuristic way to help for problem solving design. Based on this model, I got another one is actually, I think we can kind of dig into and see a little bit more. It's called PIP. I don't know, I always joke around to say, what's PIP? What's RIP? It looks like RIP, know what's RIP? So it's like, oh, that person is RIP. Rest in peace. So it's like somebody died already. So PIP is actually stands for problem, idea, complex. So is this an exercise, or is this a way that you can use it, apply it onto whatever your design thinking, or the problem solving process? So those is actually using the convergent thinking and divergent thinking method into and apply it onto the problem-solving process. I sent a form to group chat. I don't know whether you can open it up, because you can actually go back to our group chat in WeChat. And it can show, and I go to open up that one. I send it here. Okay, so everyone got this one supposed to be. This is talk about, the instruction, what we're supposed to do. Basically, it's about, applying our divergent thinking and convergent thinking. And of course, we have to study the issue first. So this is one of the process that we can, or one of the models you call it for problem solving here. To try to pay a little bit more attention and spend a little more time on this. So when we look at the form, is here. So we can actually using this to help us to come up with some solution to problems. So the first thing is the problem. So you can say, well, we face a problem. So what is on your mind? What is something you would like to help in solving? So everyone, every day, we have a problem. If we have a design project, that turns out to be a problem as well, right? So we got to find a way to tackle the issue. We find ways to come up with a solution for that. But in order to do that, we have to, or we must know about the problem first, or problems. It may not be just one problem, it could be so many problems. So we've got to find out what the problem is. So once we have the problem, that we heard the problem, like using something we call how to. So it's how to means like, we phrase it and see what we actually, how we really understand the problem or not. And then the C one is like, the C section is for what? Pick up the most important question to answer and write it below. So that means like whatever we got is, maybe we should look at that something as a, I guess as a sample I already did and see how it looks like as example. I kind of put it together and see whether that would fit for, visual design or not. So this is one of the things. So the problem is what? Can you read this one? Right, okay. Many clients complain about limited space in small apartments, making them feel cramped and uncomfortable. They want a functional yet aesthetically pleasing design solution. So this is, if that is a problem. So for the step 2, or maybe say for the step B, that we can rephrase it to 3 different how-to phrases. Say, how to maximize small apartment space without compromising on style. So this is the first rephrase, sentence rephrase, sentence that repeat on the problem. So you more like, dissect the problem, more like you analyze the problem and see what the problem really means or whatever. And then the second rephrase can be, say, how to create multifunctional furniture that saves space. And then the third rephrase sentence we can call it, say, how to use lighting and color schemes to make a small room feel bigger. So for those questions all come together, they just sort of like rewrite whatever the problem is based on a question format instead of say just like a sentence format. We can call it as a question come up based on whatever this problem is about. So for section C is actually find the most important one to put on here. So the most important based on these 3 is actually probably talk about the first one. So is how to maximize small apartment space without compromising on style. So that turns out to be the hardest one, I guess, the most important one. And then after this, we can apply divergent thinking within it. So it's like generate at least 6 ideas for answering the questions about. So the question now is how to maximize small apartment space without compromising on style. So this 6 questions come up with. By the time we have these 6 questions, nobody said you definitely have to have something is so solid. You could be, because it's divergent thinking, that means you can come up with whatever you think is more closest to. It doesn't have to be too right to the point. I mean, the point is like we try to do a better job for that, but somehow, for the divergent means like it accepts everything. So it means like you can actually come up with whatever come up with in your mind. So the question is here, and then the divergent thinking answer is 1, to modular and multi-purpose furniture. For instance, say a bed with storage underneath. The second answer with that, once we apply divergent thinking, is incorporating mirrors to create the illusion of more space. So that's just another thing. And then the third answer for these question, how to maximize more apartment space without compromising on style, is implement wall mount shelves and foldable desks to save floor space. And then answer number 4 is use a light color palette to make the room appear more open. And then the 5th answer is optimize vertical space with tall storage units. So this is also the answer for solving the problem of that, The 6th one is utilize sliding doors instead of traditional swing doors to save up space. So those are the divergent thinking answer for the question, say, how to maximize small apartment space without compromising on style. And then once you have the directed thinking is like open up to whatever that's possible answer. That's the directed thinking. So anything could be acceptable for the directed thinking process. It also means like nothing wrong with it, can come up with whatever, any crazy things, what about that? Because, once we finish the divergent thinking, when we have the convergent thinking, so we open up for any answer, but somehow we have to analyze it and come up with something and apply a critical thinking kind of idea onto, we try to be critical about, the answer based on those divergent things. So we open up whatever the divergent thing answers, and then we kind of like, say, analyze it to something that more solid. So this is important we talk about, say, convergent thinking. So when we say convergent thinking, that means like we try to analyze whatever those like direct thinking, like answer, and see at the end what we're going to have. Okay, so this is the analysis process. Okay, so for the convergent thinking, we use the format of a solution statement, which could start with what I see myself doing is, but of course you can rephrase that if you don't want that, but somehow we just use that way. Say, have this analysis answer. So once you put it together, say, what I see myself doing is designing a space-saving interior using multifunctional furniture, wall-mounted storage, and a strategic color palette to create an open and stylish apartment. So this is the final answer, you can call that, based on the divergent thinking. Then you're going to conclude, you're going to summarize, you're going to analyze it, and at the end you have this like convergent thinking answer. Okay, so up to this point, if you don't really like the answer, you can really start over again based on, the questions we have. So the question again, you pick the most like, important one is most probably talk about those like compare with the rest of those that turns out to be the most important one, whatever. So let's try to come up with the answer with it. So if you're not like the answer, that you can go back to phrase B to restart over again, if that's the case. Of course, everything needs to be, we need to put a test to see whether that will work or not. So even if you come up with a solution that at the end you may rephrase it, or may work on that, depends, what about the project, problem solving, project solving, problem solving answer with whatever. Okay, so even though we come with something, but if we're not actually working it, and there's no way to see whether it's really working out. So we have to have an action plan to work on that. Okay, so this is like one example used based on the first part we have is an action plan. So what we're going to do with this action plan? Okay, so we're going to fill out more like another form that relates to how we're going to put these things to work. So I have a model here. I have an example here. So when you look at that, so like who is actually me? What I have to do. So this plan is actually for you to schedule what you got to do. It's a part of the action plan. It's part of all the activities you're going to do and when you're going to do it. So me, this is you. That means like if you will work on that, we've got to research and select modular furniture options. The time for that is like this week, let's say. The second step is also you, which is actually me. I try to put it in my way to look at that. Okay, create a layout incorporating wall mount shelves and storage. That would be the next week to do it. And then the third one, the first step is not from your side, it's actually from the client side. We need the client to what? Approve final design plan. We promise it in 2 weeks. And then you need a contractor. So this is part of the contractor work to do is what? Installing sliding doors and storage solutions within a month. And then the next step is a painter. So the painter, what the painter is going to do is like apply light color palettes to enhance space perception after installations. So you need to have the installation first, done, and then paint it. And then the sixth steps is me, which is you and Ed saying, add file decor elements to enhance style and functionality. So 1 month after painting. So this all is like step-by-step things, basically would be put in the action plan to make the whole thing work. So if we go back to look at the question again, what I see myself doing is designing a space-saving interior using multifunctional furniture, wall-mounted storage, and a strategic color palette to create an open and stylish apartment. So if we look at this, because this is actually what? Something we got to do. And then that is also something you look at it and see whether at the end, once you finish with everything, would you actually can accomplish this or not? So this is more like, you know, you check back to see the thing you already proceeded and see whether the end result, whether the end result is actually a solution for the problem or not. So this is something that we're going to type, you know, but I check back to see whether the thing will really work out or not. Okay, so this is basically the idea about, like, you know, we applying one of this method into our actual work and see whether it works or not. Of course, you know, there's so many different ways to work on, our problem-solving process. So you may have your own, I don't know. The point is, like, I think in every single different discipline, we have a different way that is somehow slightly different, but still very similar to each other. Or maybe the step may be somehow intervened with another sub-step with that, maybe, you know, it just depends how they really think, how they really work things out. Okay, so any question with this one? So this is one of the heuristic way to do things. So we need to go to the discussion. I think the discussion we have for today is talking about, again, same topic, share problem-solving experience. And then what should we try have a discussion? We have something that funnel down to something that really useful. I want you to do a presentation on this topic. It's okay? So we have probably about, like, I don't know, 45 minutes, an hour to put this presentation together, then we have to have it, right? Okay.
So who's going to do the presentation today?
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. The one that we have to do is quite easy, very straightforward. What's that? And again, no one can say no. Well, this is no method, who's good arguing. I think that's what we're about.
哪个小组？依然的。我他妈当然知道了，就是写他妈一个3000字的一个是调查报告。3000啊。他全部都写在他的作业要求上，自己看一遍。
So you can put a statement aside, problem solving, or just I feel happy.
写的是什么？
So I
写的是创造性的突破。
whether I really maybe I'm not. Then okay, I should eat something, or maybe I should drink something. I should imagine that I already ate. As you say, so this is like, something that they can actually go back. So this is the process for so just like your experience or somebody's experience, not your experience. Somebody's experience. Or maybe you draw the example from whatever those models. Or maybe that's just not the same. Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, you can do that. So when you say problem solving, it doesn't really mean saying.
这不是那个，它是那个龙泉啊，还是庆元？
那个非洲加了，
它是我们历史最大的黄河。
真的？
他妈肯定啊
我还以为他那个
！1500万粉丝。
他总是那个车，山沟沟的。
英语是真的啊，对，中文是真的。
非洲也不讲英语。
So you don't even have to bring it back, so that means that you never change it. Every single time we see people, 2 minutes and slides photos. So if we don't do that, maybe that's not bad. Looks like you guys did something, but not completely changed. Not yet. More good.
blue pink，
对，
蓝粉，
光亮，整个卸载了。
So is Canvas better?
Yeah.
So you guys can share that all together to organize, right?
我在划水，在这儿忙着跟进。
我在假装，你看，他走了，
没搞好，
你搞好了吗？
那这个里面不够，
还不够，
没有，后面还得删。
怎么急呀？到这里不？还到这里？还到这里不？
到这里，
到这里不？
对啊，
快点，都坐去啊！
你有病啊！太多了。
这好像要做哎，这东西我靠。真的呀？This week, next week, 2 week，我得来呀， 就是比如说你提出了一个非常疯狂的想法，他说越疯狂越好，然后让那个，然后怎么去做一个发散性的，就是一个计划表呢，跟清单是差不多。就是每周写一个项目，这是第一周、第二周、第三周、第四周。
You got a sample down there. Yeah.
但是没有写很多东西，就是一点点。
上面的我举例的那边，我这边就抓不。
为什么这个发散性思维？不是，不是他说的，太老气。他说这个，我还以为这个。刚才那个老结问的人，他是发散性思维。
主要脾气来说，
the core design first and refine the details later. So that's all. Thank you for watching.
Could you go back to the title, the first slide? So you make up names for harmonizing state function and community. So is that a typical process for this kind of problem solving?
Not process, maybe during the process we will facing some common issues. So I separate them into three main parts.
Okay, so the three parts you're going to, that means that three parts you're going to think about, right?
Yeah.
And use, technically speaking, you can say uses three parts to tackle the problem.
Yeah.
So, you may consider, say, the function, the human usage, maybe say, and also harmonizing space, that means like how that thing goes to be fit together, things like that. So I try to understand what you try to say here. That's the reason I just asked. Because I'm not quite familiar with the way you try to present. I guess that's the point. Okay, so those are the point that can tackle the issue and also kind of like be applied within the process to think about, or maybe those are the kind of attributes you got to think about when you come up with a project. Is that right? Yeah, that's probably the thing. All right, so okay, that's fine. Okay, thanks. Who wants to be next? Who's going to be the next? There's more you need to say. So, okay, so you bring up your computer. Or you send it to. So you can send it to your group chat, and once you use my computer, it's fine. Okay, you send it to future That's PDF, right? Okay, do I have to read this?
Today I will talk about problem solving in design. lighting, and the space flow. And why are they important? Because effective stone complex design is challenges. And I will share with the first case is the Suzhou Yuanhe Tea House renovation. And at first of all, the tea house had some problem. It's congestion due to the improper zoning, and the dim lighting made the space feel uninviting. It's very dark. So the designers changed the solution. The solution is about create tea tasting really and provide areas and rearrange the furniture in the solution arrangement and install these screens for soft lights and wooden lighting for beams. And the second case is about the Shanghai new concept store layout optimizations. It's a clothing store, so the problem is about customers crowding near the entrance. The entrance is very small, and the main product display in heaven. So the designer to solve the problems. The first is apply radio layout for better movement and adjust the display height and angle to improve visibility, and still spotlight on popular items so the environment is more light and more popular. And the third case is about Hangzhou worker who office redesign. The problem is about high noise levels, reduced concentration, and lack of privacy in the meeting areas. So the designer add sound profiling panels and green walls to control sound, and a flexible space with removable glass portions, and implement cubism seatings and curved decks for balanced collaboration. So the conclusion is how to create a good design environment. The key takeaway is zoning, improve flow, and solution design enhance the user experience. The lighting materials impact space perceptions. And there's some heuristic lead to functional aesthetic space, just like the last century's famous design work. It also have the same design heuristic. Yes.
Any questions? Right, so basically, if you conclude that it's a user center, probably that's one of the things that you always emphasize, right?
Mm-hmm.
So decide that is the main thing you can actually use to tackle the issues. What was the one thing on that? Any question you want to ask? All right, so thank you. Who wants to be the next group? All right, guys. So if you send us to the group chat, you can actually use my computer to do the presentation if you want to. So just tell me that. Is that here? Oh, okay. Yeah. So which one? potential. All right.
Our presentation topic is solving problems and unlocking the potential. And here's our contents. I will talk about the understanding problem solving and case study and the general problem solving strategies. And firstly, have you ever faced a challenge where you felt completely stuck? And we encountered problems in our life studies, and for problem solving is not just about finding answers, it's about improving our thinking process and growing from challenges. And why problem solving matters? Because in design, art, and technology, challenges are everywhere, and designers constantly refine their works to meet users' needs, and artists often face creative blocks, and developers deal with complex systems and debugging issues. And this fields creativity, adaptability, and teamwork are closely tied to problem solving. And developing this skill can help us tackle challenges more effectively and confidently. And as for me, a designer specializing in interactive design, experimental arts, and interdisciplinary projects. Through my projects, I have faced technical difficulties and creative roadblocks and the collaboration challenges. However, these experiences have taught me how to approach problems strategically. And today I want to share some case studies that insights on how to enhance problem-solving skills. And about problem-solving follows a structured process: identify, analyze, develop solutions, implement, and review. In creative and technical fields, challenges typically fall into three categories. Technical issues like the software crashes or rendering failures require troubleshooting and optimization. And creative challenges such as the complex interfaces and design blockness and can be overcome through interactive testing and user feedback. And about collaboration issues often caused by miscommunication can be resolved with clear documentation and regular discussions. Effective problem solving is not just about fixing issues, but continuously improving and adapting to future challenges. About a case study, during my personal project making, I faced a major challenge converting two-dimensional images into interactive 3D animation, but software compatibility issues prevented the model from importing correctly. And after analyzing the possible causes, including file format errors and rendering incompatibilities, I explored multiple solutions. I tested different export formats such as the OBJ and FBX and the GLTF. Sought advice from the online communities such as the Reddit and ArtStation, and optimize the three-dimensional model by reducing polygon count and improving textures. Eventually, the animation worked smoothly and the project received positive feedback and the exhibition. This experience taught me the technical problems often require exploration through multiple channels to find the best solution. In another team collaboration project about a virtual reality interaction project, I worked with the developers, and our different professional backgrounds create the communication barriers. Designers prioritize the visuals and the user experience, while developers focus on the code and the functionality, leading to misunderstandings. To bridge this gap, we use the visual tools like the Picto or something the mirror to clarify interactions. We also developed a translation system where designers explain requirements in technical terms and developers clarify limitations. And finally, regular daily checking links help us our progress, and as a result, collaboration improved significantly, and the project was successfully completed, and user testing feedback was positive. This experience reinforced the importance of clear communication in disciplinary teamwork. About the general problem-solving strategies. The effective problem-solving relies on the 4 key strategies. The critical thinking helps identify root causes instead of just fixing surface issues. And interaction allows for continuous improvement through testing and refinement. And collaboration ensures clear communication using tools like the Talbot and Notion. Finally, the adaptability helps us learn from failures and adjust strategies quickly, and mastering these skills leads to better solutions and growth. And in conclusion, the problem solving is more than just fixing issues. It's a process of growth. Every challenge is a chance to learn and improve, and by applying critical thinking, interaction, collaboration, and adaptability, we can tackle obstacles more effectively. And the key is to stay open-minded, keep refining our approach, and embrace challenges such as the opportunities. And here is the references, and thank you, Phyllis.
Any questions? Interesting. I think, things to point out, it's very important to say, based on whatever the topic we have, right? We talk about, okay, so, the strategy you have, I guess, is the more important thing that, you basically lay out, the process you have, and that, I can't say it guarantees to solve every single problem, but at least, this is something that basically the framework we kind of come with, and then to tackle whatever, the problem. I guess it's one other thing, so that bring up whatever the point that we supposed to talk about for this talk. All right, thank you. Okay, we don't have any more choice because we only have few applications left for this. So, you want to use my computer, or you just do? Yeah. Okay. You look at our point, that is yours. Now it's to, I guess, those no, it's 55. Oh, okay. So this is not the contact.
Hello everyone, today my presentation topic is challenges and breakthroughs in design, from problems to innovation. Design work is rarely smooth sailing. In the process of design, designers may face some problems like special constraints such as optimizing functionality in small spaces and budget limitations. They need to balance aesthetic functionality under tight cost constraints or changing client needs, continuously adapting plans to meet new requirements and unexpected construction issues such as material shortages, technical limitations, or project delays. And for today's presentation, I want to share with you some problem-solving experiences in the field of design, particularly in interior design and architectural design, and how challenges can be transformed into opportunities for innovation. In the design industry, difficult are often not obstacles but catalysts that inspire creativity and breakthroughs. And there are 3 projects I want to share. The first is via 57 West Residential Project and the Weatherwick Studio, Coldrops Yard Commercial District, and the Kango-Kuma Associates commune by the Great Wall. In Via 57 West Residential Project, it is located in Manhattan's west side in New York City. This mixed-use residential building faces several challenges, like a narrow side close to a highway with significant noise and serious air pollution. And except that, the project had to comply with New York City's building regulations, requiring a certain amount of green space and views. And to solve these problems, the big studio used some solutions like innovative architectural form. They adopted a pyramid plus counter-yard hybrid design, combining high-rise and low-rise structures. The building slopes from a low side to a peak at the northwest corner, ensuring more apartments have views of the Hudson River while reducing noise from the highway. And the green ultron design. To meet green space requirements, the designer created an open green courtyard in the center of the building. And you can see this green has interesting shape, curve shape. They look make this space more dynamic and interesting. And the second project I want to share is the Coldrops Yard Commercial District. The challenges the designer group meet is this project involved the renovation of 2 1850s coal warehouses that had been abandoned for years with outdated structures. So they need to solve the problem: preservation, restrictions, low space utilization, and the lack of commercial appeal. The solution is innovative roof design. Heatherwick Studio preserved the main structures of the historic building, but connected the 2 warehouses with a double curved roof. You can see the second picture show the facade of this building. They created a head shake at the center. This maintained the historical feel while providing a seamless flow for the commercial districts. And the second solution is space reuse. To address the limited interior height, the team added raised floors and mezzanines, increasing usable space and introducing natural light for a more open interior. The sunlight can go through the interior space through the glass window. And as a result, completed in 2018, the project became a new landmark commercial district in London, attracting numerous brands and winning multiple design awards. Through innovative structural transformations, the designers gave the old buildings new life while enhancing their commercial value. And the second project is designed by Kango Kuma, which is a Japanese studio. The challenges they meet is a project work on a steep and irregular hillside, making construction difficult, and the environmental pressures. To protect the surrounding natural environment, the design had to minimize disruption to the terrain. So the studio used ecological design philosophy. Kuma used natural materials like bamboo and stone, emphasizing harmony with the environment. The buildings were designed to follow the natural terrain, avoiding large-scale excavation and protecting the ecosystem. And the integration of architecture and landscape. The team extensively used transparent glass and wooden facades, blending the buildings with the surrounding environment and breaking the traditional separation between the resorts and nature. And in conclusion, Big Spheres 57 West, they focus on use innovative geometric shapes, solved the site limitations, achieving a balance between functionality and aesthetics, and the Weatherwick's Coldrof's Yard. For this project, the studio abandoned the historical building, transforming it into a vibrant commercial space. And for the Kango-Kuma's canoe by the Great Wall, by integrating natural materials and landscape, they created a harmonious relationship between the architecture and the environment. So its challenges are not obstacles, but opportunities for innovation. It is through these constraints that designers push boundaries and create extraordinary works.
Any questions? I guess, overall great, problem solution or challenge solution, those kind of things good. You use those examples to tell people, say, hey, in this case, what the problem is, and then, they use a way to solve the problem with the solution. For the general conclusion, I think, the summer conclusion, maybe because, we basically talk about individual work examples, so maybe it's good to just have a general one at the end to say is a conclusion, or maybe you just put that conclusion into whatever individual case, and people can easily to see it by the time we talk about it, because you don't have anything by the end say, this is for that, maybe that was like a center, whatever that one, you just didn't have it. So those things I get the point is like, maybe just maybe you have a slide that have everything on there and then talk about that in general conclusion, or maybe you just put it in that individual one. By the time you talk about the case, then you talk about the conclusion. That may be easier for people to understand. Yeah, but in general, it's basically a good one. Thank you. Overall, again, for those kind of presentation, I know, it's more like you want to show people more easily to see what the whole thing there, so you put a lot of text there. I think for the presentation like purpose, we talk about that since the first time, say you have so many words, like you basically force people to read it with you. And then I think it's a little bit challenging for people if they want to do that. That's the thing. So maybe again, you can sum up with some kind like headings or headings, easier for people to kind of understand by the time you talk it instead of just read it. Okay. All right. That's. for essay we have is basically very similar to the presentation we have for today. It's called Analyzing Design Problem Solving Process. So a lot you already got whatever you got to say put it in the essay. The difference between the presentation and essay is like you got more like to talk about with the text by the time when you actually write. And also I think you may have some point about that you use some kind of references to support it. So this is something we have to do for deal next week for the analyze, design, problem solving process. Okay, so any question with this? Okay, so sorry about it. Like the other section, I pretty much finished all this grading before your classes. I try to start this out like because it takes a long time to just look at every single people's work. So it's like, I'm going to do it soon. I know about it, so I know we have to grade. But based on the other sections, like they said, they kind of complain about the grade so low. So I try to do a better job with this one anyway. Okay, so I think that's what we have for today. Okay.